Hey, WokeNFree Nation, Newsly is an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice.
For the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling, start listening.
You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science to Bitcoin, or even one of your favorite celebrities. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud.
And they have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Our podcast, WokeNFree, is there too.
Now let's get into the episode. Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 286th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we're asking the question, what is radical self-awareness all about? So before we dive deep into that subject, a couple of things to cover. First, have you gone to WokeNFree.com? Not just because it's an awesome website where our podcast lives, but if you go there to download the episode through the Podbean app, that's where you can put in your comments. And really interested in hearing your thoughts this week on what you think radical self-awareness is all about. If you're a practitioner of it, if you're more interested to learn more about it, we want to know it all. So definitely please do that. Now, if you listen to podcasts on a device where you can't download the Podbean app, it's a couple of tears that will be shed, but good news is if you go to WokeNFree.com and then you go on the listen tab, then you can pick your platform of choice where you're going to follow and subscribe to WokeNFree. So we are on iTunes, we're on TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, por favor. SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. We are everywhere. It's a WokeNFree world. So lots of places to follow, subscribe, and support the show. On WokeNFree.com, you can also click to subscribe to follow the show. And on social, you can follow our social media conversations on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And then if you have 90 seconds, which is more of a statement, less of a question, you can review the show and you can tell us how the show is feeding into your life. So how do you do that? Go to WokeNFree.com, go in the listen tab, and then pick your platform of choice where you're going to review the show at. Kicking it to you now, Khalil.
Then before we start the conversation, how about we share a little bit about ourselves? This week, we're asking, do you think pizza should be eaten with a knife and fork?
Ooh, this is a good question because as former New Yorkers, typically New Yorkers have a certain perspective or sway on this. I'm going to actually go against my New York raising and I'm going to say yes for certain circumstances. So if you're eating a deep dish, kind of Chicago style pizza, like an Uno's type of pizza, I actually am a fan of eating pizza with a fork and knife because the pizza dough is so thick and then all those toppings, sometimes you're going to like have things kind of fall apart and look messy. And I don't like eating pizza that looks too messy. And so in that circumstance, yes. But if you're eating classic New York pizza that you can fold and like eat it nice and hot and fresh, no. But deep dish, yes.
I think it's outrageous to eat a pizza with utensils of any sort. I think you're doing the pizza a disservice by eating it that way. And you're taking away all the fun that pizza is. Pizza is about freedom. It's about just using your hands and eating old school, not having to worry if you get messy and you can spill it all over. This is one of the foods that you can go crazy and wild and not just be so stuck up and have to put a napkin.
Stuck up.
Yeah, and put a napkin on to try to cover your shirt and try to prevent the sauce.
And
yeah, no, you gotta
be a true New Yorker.
Kind of like a caveman.
Like a rat.
No, not like that, but just be caveman style. Just get in there.
So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style.
Yeah, like see how they eat it. Just eat the food. It's not...
Most people aren't mutant turtles.
Yeah, so. But you could be, right? You never know. What if you were turned into a human? You don't know what your former life was.
I don't want to ponder on things that are just too exciting. You know, there's just too much fun that can be had for, a day or two or so.
Yeah, you don't want to have too much radical fun either, do you?
Definitely not too much radical fun.
Yeah.
God forbid where that would go.
Yeah, it could be a lot. I mean, it could also lead to something more radical, as in what if you learn more about your radical self-awareness that
Sloppy
you may
and
possess
true.
or not?
Yeah.
You may possess that or not, right?
Okay.
And maybe you can talk about it to
Okay.
our audience, and it can actually explain what is radical self-awareness all about.
Okay. Well, on Psychology Today, which again, you can find any links that we mentioned in episodes to on WokeNFree.com in the episode notes. And so on Psychology Today, they explain radical self-honesty or honesty as the following. When we are able to shine a light on what is painful inside us, touch it and say it out loud to others, the last bits of shame that cling to it begin to dissolve. Not only that, but sharing from our own undefeated heart helps others to share with similar depth. And I really like that description because I think it really speaks to how I would define radical self-awareness, which is the following. It's 100% commitment to being honest, but most importantly, honest with yourself. Radical self-awareness is a personal journey that folks decide to go on. And I think you have to be very intentional and very committed to that pathway because we live in a life that is structured for lies and fairy tales. So to be fully, completely, 100% honest, not only with yourself, but in how you approach things, takes actual effort and commitment. Next, I would say that this is a journey that requires openness to being vulnerable and comfortable with being able to do this so that you could achieve human evolution, growth, and development, which is why at least for me, as trying to embark upon this for my own self, why I would want to do this and that I want to be a better human. And I think the only way to be a better human is to be as honest with myself and as honest as possible in my life with others. I also believe that radical self-awareness is a daily practice and commitment, and it can be explored and implemented on a personal and professional life, but I will have the caveat of saying there are certain industries that make that very hard, to be fully honest, right? Like if your career is about lying, like being a CIA agent or an FBI, right? Like if you're essentially employed to try to discover other people's lies, you can't go
secret
around.
Agent?
Yeah, secret agent. You can't go around saying your truth because then you're going to defeat.
Well, you can say the truth about the weather, right? It's hot outside.
Yes, but you can't, like, if people ask you who you are, you'd have to conceal that for your own, unless it's like if it's going to endanger your mission.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't be 100% honest about that question.
That's where
right?
I think that this becomes a little bit harder to practice in professional settings, but on a personal level, you can definitely be 100% honest with yourself.
Or if you created like a spy balloon, you can't be 100% honest about that.
A spy balloon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can't just say like, I created that spy balloon. You got to say, why would you?
Are there people purporting that?
Yeah, there's going to be people saying, "Hey, that's your spy balloon." You say, I didn't create a spy balloon. That's a balloon, and it might be mine, but I don't know."
Okay, and they flew it over the United
They fly it over
States.
the U.S. Yeah,
Okay.
See, it's like that.
Gotcha. Nice.
You can't be honest about that.
Okay. I think that this is a journey that requires advocacy for yourself to demand what you want out of yourself as well as others. And then also I would define this as saying it's a commitment to also speaking your truth. But again, that gets a little bit dicey depending upon your professional settings, but at least in a personal life, as long as it's not conflicting with your professional endeavors, you can demand the honest truth of others, and you also would have to provide that as well if you are truly imploring and practicing radical self-awareness and truth and honesty.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of radical self-awareness, I just think about people saying like the quiet part out loud about themselves. So it's things that people already know about you, but you never just come out and say, "This is who I am," and I understand that I'm doing it, but people know you're doing it. So that's what I always think about with radical self-awareness. So people they might not be good at, bringing the Uber Eats on time, but you got to just be honest. Like you don't value time. You don't care about that. Right.
So you think the Uber Eats driver that's late should come to the door and say,
No, but if you get the same one every time, right? If you always have that same one to come to your office and you know he's going to be late, he or she knows they're going to be late.
Or they, yep.
Yeah, whoever that person is.
Mm-hmm.
And, they never admit that that's just what it's going to be, then they're not radically self-aware to me, because they could tell you, you know what? I'm late for such and such reasons. Instead of bringing your food, I go to drop off my daughter at her basketball game, you know?
So but see where the radical self-awareness could come into in that case is if you fail to be able to arrive anywhere on time, then you need to admit.
You said anywhere. It's just when you're delivering the food.
You need
That's
to
the problem.
admit this to yourself.
Why'd you make it so extreme?
Because I'm a Virgo.
Wow. It just went to a whole different level there.
You should not have a form of employment that is time sensitive because you can't arrive on time.
I mean...
So
yeah,
that's what I.
At least they show up,
radical.
Right?
Yeah, so that person should be a consultant, and they should set some loose timelines as to when they're joining meetings. So after 10:30, right? Like not 10:30. Anything where it's a strict deadline, that's going to be a non-starter for this person.
But what if the deadlines move for a lot of the food delivery apps, so that's why they thought it would be good, because they could bring it on time or they can bring it a little bit off.
But then also they're going to realize when they start losing tips and or getting horrible reviews that this is not working well. Like okay, so go on Fiverr.
The radical self-awareness would tell them maybe I shouldn't do this anymore.
Job. This is not working.
But they have good excuses for every time they're late.
It doesn't matter. People want their food, and you're pissing them off.
Even if like that's just you like to you get the easily.
Did you save someone's life? That's why you were late?
No, but you had to drop off your child at their school.
That sounds like a personal problem.
Wow. And they can't take care of their child.
As a parent, I totally get it. But again, then I would get a different job that would allow me to take care of my child and not piss off other people.
I mean, dude, they shouldn't be pissed, though, if you always know it's going to be late. So then you order it early, right?
See, for personality types like myself and others who are like, this is what I want when I want it, it doesn't matter. I mean, yes, you can have a sense of flexibility. I get it. You have to, give people grace 5 minutes. But if this person's like 17 minutes, which is, what happens. We've been there with food where it's going to arrive, and then it's an hour late. And that's that's really frustrating, especially when people are dealing with hangriness. It's just a lot.
I thought you were going to say dealing with hangovers. Why
would I say that? I was in relation to our...
No, I thought, people would be mad because they're dealing with hangovers. So it's
that's one
you have a hangover
reason
and you
to
can't
be
get
upset.
your food or stuff. You might get really upset.
So, that person gets no tip, right? Like, and then that's not unfair. They spent gas money, and now this was a total waste.
But maybe the food delivery app, maybe they can pay them an actual living wage. Oh, no, that's asking too much. Sorry. Never mind. Take it back.
Okay, so I'm asking too much. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
And I don't know what the hiring practices are of those types of apps. So I cannot speak to that, and I cannot speak to the wages that are for those rules. And people should do their homework and their research and figure that out, and you should advocate on your best.
Yeah,
behalf around.
We won't talk about living wages. Just pay whatever you want. Yep.
No. I believe in living wages, but what I'm saying is I don't outrightly know if all the food delivery apps do not pay living wages. That's a statement that essentially you were alluding to, and I can't speak to that because I haven't done my own research on that.
Oh, okay.
Is that the sentiment that you have arrived at, though?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that's all right. Yeah. You're not sure about it. So
I believe there's a challenge. I remember hearing news articles about it, but again, this is WokeNFree, so
there's a whole thing going on.
Is there a hashtag on it too?
But just in general, for people that are make the majority of their money on tips, the people are getting a little upset about that.
Well, that I've seen, but I don't know. Are all the food
delivery apps
are
included in that? Okay. They like to just give you. They like to have you pay.
But as you say,
tips.
You hate when people just believe what other people say. So I definitely would have to go and do.
Oh yeah, definitely have to check. You can't say
but
for sure.
But we definitely should actually do an episode on what's a livable wage. So that's a great topic idea.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other thing. Because in this
country,
right?
That's challenging.
Well, in this country, how does radical self-awareness show up in your life?
Ooh, so when I think about that, the couple of things come to mind. First and foremost, I started gaining weight at the age of 6, and I have become overweight due to a lot of different reasons. I would say definitely bad eating habits, emotional eating, poor eating habits modeled to me through family and culture, and then definitely a dissatisfaction and a lack of respect for my own self. And with that, I have struggled and I've lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight. And so I'm on a journey where I'm trying to get to a size and a space where I can feel good mentally, physically, spiritually, and above. And so radical self-awareness of what am I eating, why am I eating it, and what's really going on helps me to try to go against the derailment or deterring of weight loss. So I've seen it show up there. Next, I recently, I think in an episode, and then also on my blog on JustRoommate.com, talked about like happiness and, to be honest, struggling with feeling fully happy on the inside for majority of my life. So I would say that radical self-awareness shows up there, and that like being able to even just publicly make that statement makes me deeply uncomfortable. And that's cool because that's a vulnerable space to be in, to be able to really conquer that and really handle that and address that. Next, I would say cutting people out of my life. When you're radically self-aware, you realize what you want, what you don't want, and what people are feeding into and what they're making worse. So I've seen it show up there, me being able to dead relationships and not talk to people as much or not talk to people on a certain level because I just feel like, wow, this is not serving me and this is actually making my life worse. So there's that. And then I would say around parenting as well, you and I don't always agree around decisions that you're making or that I'm making. But the only way for us to be on the same page as parents with KJ, our son, is for us to really be fully honest, even if it hurts. But, you know, you can always be respectful about how you speak to your partner, especially about your child and parenting. But I think that we have to be honest, and you have to be like radically honest to be able to parent and co-parent, really, for those who aren't together in their parenting to do that well.
Okay. So,
I know that was a lot. But those are the spaces that come to mind for me.
The spaces that I can think of is
Nothing.
First between... I mean, you're very close, but you're far, but you're close, but it's like you missed the basket, right? It was an air ball.
Tell me that's something new. Air ball.
But it was still an air ball.
Intellectual air ball.
But at least you were close, though. I mean, it was a far shot, right? You took a shot from across the field.
You're foolish.
You took it from, you were on a whole different, continent, and you got pretty close. I give you that. So, A for effort.
Thank you.
That's the
for the condescending foolishness.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You can. We could all try again. You know, that's how life goes.
Facts.
Yeah. Then, so the first way I think it shows up is in our relationship because we're 100%. You know, we respect honesty between each other. So
yes,
and that way we have to be, at least for me, and I think you too. We have to be radically self-aware in terms of who we are and what we want. That's a learning
process, though, right? Because we are learning more about ourselves as we get older, and
but I think but we have to be. It's kind of like we have to know who we truly are when we ask for things from our partner, right? We can't just be like, well, you know, we got to just be straight up. This is what it is.
Playing games,
even and like you say, you got to say it even if it hurts. So
that's true.
I think that's where it's definitely shown up, like the self-awareness in our relationship. Then it's shown up for me in like friendships in terms of like I understand that I'm not a person that wants to put forth like too much crazy effort to keep a friendship going.
Wild.
Yeah, it's got to be, you know, it's got to be kind of even. So I think it showed up in friendships. Like if I'm putting too much of the work forward, then that friendship's not gonna last. Okay. So it shows up there, and then I think lastly it shows up just in my general. Like now I know what type of thinker I am, so I'm based very much on rationalization and I'm data oriented. I'm not now. I'm not like hope and faith oriented. That's like I've learned that that's not who I am. I didn't know that when I was a child. I still had I had faith at some point. Now I have no faith.
It's gone.
Yeah, I have zero faith. I don't use that at all.
That's really encouraging for others.
Yeah, it's a radical self-awareness. I admit it.
Faithless world.
Yeah,
good luck.
I don't use that anymore.
Carry on.
I don't use hope and faith. Yeah, yep. I don't go by that anymore. But I used to have that.
You sound depressed as hell.
I don't need that though because the numbers don't lie.
I have no hope. Do you know what that sounds like?
I know it sounds crazy, right?
I don't need hope. Wild, yes.
But you don't need hope if you have numbers on your side and you believe in the universe, right? You know that the world's a bigger place. I don't need faith. Like that's because I can the faith I have, I can spit my faith in my hand, or I can put water in it, which is going to fill up first.
You do realize your hand is not a jug, right?
I know. Neither. They're both
Exactly.
but the faith is not going to do anything to my hand. It'll just sit there and nothing will happen. At least the water will keep it warm and wet. Or it might not be warm. It could be cold water. It's going to get soaked though. The faith will do nothing. I'm just saying the faith is like a big nothing burger. You can have it, but it doesn't make the difference.
These statements are indicative of more discovery needed. Yeah.
It's better to, have... It's better to have an idea in your head and follow that idea, and use the signs. Follow the signs. Don't just. I mean that's just. I'm not trying to argue who I am though. That's who I am. No one has to follow that. It's up to them. But just because I don't have faith doesn't mean I don't have belief on things that can happen. Because I understand how things can work out. Like I understand the signs. I know how to look at signs. Yeah, I don't use hope though. I use knowingness, right? And sometimes my knowing could be wrong though, because things don't always happen as you think.
Yeah, like less than 1%. Exactly.
But I'm not using faith or hope, though, to get to what I want. I'm using, manifestation, things like that. Not magic. Not a magic, but manifestation.
Is radical self-awareness truly possible, then?
Is it truly possible? It is, but it hurts. So I don't think most people would want to do it, because then you'll find out stuff about yourself, like you don't have hope and you don't have faith, and most people don't want to know that about themselves. I'm not the only one out here that feels that way. There's people that feel that way, and I'm not saying feel that way and it's like it's gonna destroy their life kind of way. It might just be a way they just it feels that they feel that way, and it makes them say, "Oh man, I'm less human because look how could I have those kind of belief?" Nobody thinks like that.
Human,
yes, and
more reptilian.
People would say it's to have hope is to be human. I think people would think that.
I would say people would say to have humanity is to be human.
Exactly. All right.
But to have
you don't think they'd say that?
Is a manifestation of human thoughts, but I don't think it's the definition of humanity. No,
and you don't think it's a trait? Hope is not a human trait.
Yes, but it's a taught trait, right? It's not innate. You're not born knowing what hope is. You're taught what hope is.
All right.
So, but humanness is, you naturally would want to care for another human. That's your humanity. The simple act of wanting to be a contributor to this world is what makes people human. So when people can easily and happily walk over those suffering and deny those in need, that's the betrayal of the humanity, which is like, now maybe that person's a little bit less human. So.
All right. And then, another thing is just for people that they don't like to disappoint people. To then truly admit to yourself that you go out of your way and do things to guarantee that you don't disappoint them. I think people like to realize that about yourself that's kind of tough, because then you'll be like, wow, so I don't even care about myself. I just care about others more. I don't love myself. Like you could go down like a dark path trying to figure out who you truly are, and you can find out things that you didn't want to know. So I think it's dangerous.
Only love yourself through the validation of loving others, which is
that's a better way to put it.
Dangerous, right? Proposition, because
the only
if you
reason
stop
I'm
overextending yourself, then what? They stop loving you, and then you don't love yourself, right? Like that.
It could be that kind of thing. So it could be very revealing of who you truly are, and then you might be like, wow, I don't.
Well, so that's what happened when I started thinking about my own happiness, of like, I've centered happiness around what other people wanted, but what if I stopped doing that and I centered it around me? And then it's like, oh, snap, I don't know what that means. What does that definition look like? And that's super challenging. You should, I would know I did something wrong if KJ was in his 30s and didn't have a clear understanding of internal happiness, right? Like that's really challenging. So yeah. No. That's, so to answer the question, is it truly possible? I think so, but I to your point, I think it takes work, and I think I don't even know if people can do it on their own. I think, sometimes this actually might have to happen with a therapist or with, in a safe space where you can have the ability to do this exploration. Because to be honest, there's so many people really struggling just to put food on the table. I don't know how much time and energy the average person is going to say, you know what, let me think about radical self-awareness. I wonder, like, is this a privileged kind of discovery? Because for those who are really, like, their rent is going up, they don't know how they're going to pay their electric bill. Is this a discovery that's even on the top of their mind? No. All right. So I think it's possible, but I think you have to be in a privileged position in your life where you are thriving, not surviving, to be able to do this work.
And you can go on like one of them spiritual journeys where you take you take the special drugs and someone monitors your health to make sure you wake up in the morning.
I'm not advocating for such behavior. I think that's one option.
It's a good way to open your mind up to.
It is one good way. Neither of us have pursued that. Just to make that be known and clear.
None of us have done it, but we hear, or I hear that it works wonders.
I have heard
the
benefits of such behaviors.
Yeah, people do
a lot. I cannot speak to that, nor can I endorse such behavior.
Oh, you can't endorse it. All right.
No. I can't endorse something I've never done, right? I can't.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I mean, I don't agree with that, but that's, I understand you saying that.
Traveling to, a certain part of the world to be able to do illicit drugs to open up your mind is a good thing. I'd have to do that to be able to, and I could only endorse what I have done. I can't endorse.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. So you would only endorse something that you have done yourself.
Well,
you
because
would not endorse other things.
That's the more
that's so interesting.
It's not that you can't endorse. So I think there's levels to it, right? So for instance, like I believe in affiliate marketing where you can propose, like you can share ads on your blogs or content on that is inclusive of products that I may have not tried because I've not tried every product.
Yeah.
But but to take it to another level and say, hey, go and do drugs. Those drugs could kill someone depending upon other medications that they're taking. So it's the level.
You have to have a right facilitator.
Yeah,
whole thing
I
don't just go and do drugs.
It's like that to me is an endorsement that is amping up it's putting more things at stake here. So I wouldn't feel comfortable endorsing that. But like affiliate ads, I'm okay with, but I'm not.
So it's like, would you endorse somebody doing rock climbing to relieve stress or no? You wouldn't because
you've never done it. So I know someone in my life who's done rock climbing and they speak very kindly and well of it, but I don't know. Well, I guess they do speak to it as being relaxing or like getting their mind out of things. So yeah, so I could concur with a statement like that or an endorsement like that.
So you can't endorse things that you haven't done.
Personal reference point, but I wouldn't advise someone. I wouldn't advise someone to go do that because I myself have not done it, nor do I have any interest in that, nor do I think that is an activity that I think could fare well for everyone. So,
well, of course. I mean, we're not saying everyone, but there wouldn't be a specific case where you might see somebody and they're like, man, I need to do some sort of activity. You're not going to suggest that because you haven't done it, though.
I'm not going to suggest that.
You're going to suggest something that you've done
because
instead.
Because that, to me, again, is putting things at risk. It puts that person's life at risk.
So that's risk. Okay. So you got to think of something. Okay.
So less risky. Because again, I'm more a fan of calculated risk. I'm not a fan of just like real high stakes risk.
So how about playing a virtual tennis game? Would that be less risky or no? That's still too much.
Is it possible
hurt their wrist?
Well, okay.
Sprained wrist.
Okay. Well, more so, like, if you played the game, could you have long-lasting issues with your eyes or your mind? I know that sounded really wild, but I just wanted to put it out there, like, because I remember an article I had seen, months ago, where someone was saying they devised a video game or some type of virtual reality where, like, it could try to kill you or something. And I was just like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah, they're just getting on some sword art online or something type thing.
That's why I asked, like, is it something that would make the person addicted or would it interfere with regular living for that person?
So yeah, but you're going, but
it's going a whole other thing.
All right, I'm gonna give one more scenario. I want to see where you go with this one. But there's somebody has been trying out many gigs for acting for a couple of weeks, and then they get offered this role to do a motion capture event. Would you recommend them doing that? Even though technically it's not an acting job, they get to capture their acting, right? Would you? I mean, loosely, because all you got to do is you have to do certain movements, and they're catching your movement. Is it degrading in any way? So you're asking a lot of questions.
Yeah,
it's not. It's for a PG movie.
Oh, okay. So there's no sexual acts or anything.
Yeah, it's not anything. They get,
not to say that sex is degrading. I'm just saying.
I know that our bodies were designed for it, right?
Yes, have at it. But what I am saying is we don't want to put ourselves in situations that make us feel less than after the fact. So however you want to interpret that, go ahead. But if this is not a degrading scenario and they're going to be paid a living wage for such activities.
So now you're adding different stuff.
Then, yes, I would recommend it. But
so you can recommend the thing that you haven't done.
I haven't done, but as long as I have an understanding of those circumstances and their life isn't threatened or endangered, it's not unsafe. Yeah.
But if they said you had to do drugs before doing the,
so that's where I start to back up because I start to say, oh well, I don't because
so like clinical trials, you wouldn't recommend someone do that.
So does this person want to have children after? See what I mean? It's
smart.
Like,
I mean, this
again,
stuff is...
what is the risk? And then what are the
This stuff is supposed to make your skin glow. It'll glow like Twilight. So you tell them not to do it to get the diamond sparkly skin.
Oh, okay, so what's the long-term effect of that? See what I mean? No matter what you ask me, I'm always going to have a question after. You know, I'm a lawyer. There's not one thing you could ask me that I'm not going to have a question about. It's just the reality of life.
You're going to have a question.
Yeah, I'm always going to have a question because I need to understand. I have to measure risk. So
wow,
that's how my mind works.
You're not an actuary, though. I mean, come on.
True, but when you go to law school, that is one of the biggest things you learn from that experience of like measuring risk and then like what's in the best interest of your client, right? But then also like what are the legal ramifications of such acts? Wow. And also financial, right? And so, and then is there any criminal infraction that's being incurred here? Or, like, it's just, you start to go down that route. But
it's like going down a rabbit hole. You can go have never
ending questions.
That's why a lot
of people have not so kind things to say about lawyers. Because
I mean, I think it's interesting because you can cover a lot of different areas. And
I love it. I think
the
it's
more information, the better. Technically,
yeah. So I am definitely not a person
clear.
where you're like, hey, Tosh, let's go do this, and then I'm not allowed to ask any questions because then you should just speak to someone else about this. Then
you're just like, hey, I'm all in. Let's go.
Yeah. No,
let's go and do
First,
it.
let's have coffee. Maybe it can be virtual, but let's go through what the scenario is. Why am I participating? What are the costs? What are the risks? And then I can follow up with a decision. And I'm quite swift with the decision, but I do need to be able to ask questions.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes. So, I think we've gone down a different rabbit hole, but let's circle it back up.
All right, then you can tell us what are your best practices for radical self-awareness in your life.
So my best practices include the following. Giving yourself grace. You're going to make mistakes. If you have never done this before, please do not get mad at yourself or do not get swayed when you are trying to tell the truth and you are outright lying to yourself or others, because it's really hard to go from being a liar to not. It's just like super hard.
It's a hard thing.
It's super hard. As someone who tells, even for me to have to tell the truth, and then again, sometimes you have to not lie per se, but you have to.
You can't divulge all the information.
Yeah,
right?
you have to present the relevant facts based on what the circumstances are, and that's hard for me because I am a person who loves to just be honest. I think people play too many emotional and different types of games that I'm just personally not equipped for. So I'm on a constant learning of trying to figure that out. But there's that. Also, I would say on this journey, please identify habit, situation, and people that help foster this new journey for you. And then on the flip side, for the habit, situation, and people that deter you from being radically self-aware, please eliminate or reduce that in your life so that you can have an ongoing pathway of success. Please document this journey for yourself. It's going to be a really cool opportunity for you to focus and take reflection along the way. And I'm talking daily type of reflections and documentation. You can do this virtually or paper and pen, whatever dealer's choice there. But it's going to be good to look back on this and be like, wow, like after 3 months, 6 months, a year, where you started versus where you're at now. And then please don't talk about this journey with people. It's really important to just focus on implementation. Radical self-awareness will become quite evident based on the behaviors and the things that you share. You don't have to tell people, hey, everyone, I'm now radically self-aware, right? A lot of people, we confuse this life because we're posting and we're sharing so much of our lives that we have to make announcements around pathways and ideas. Actually, you don't have to. You can just live your truth and people will see it. And so just, I would encourage people to pursue the journey and not have to tell everyone that you're on this journey. Because haters are haters and they will try to sway you. And also they will judge you because if you mess up, they're going to be like, oh, aren't you? And it's
they'll get you.
And my last best practice is to keep learning because you need to consume and listen to things like this podcast and other resources that can help supplement you on this new journey for yourself. And if you've already been here, welcome, thank you, and keep going.
I think that those are some good things to follow.
Gracias.
It's a lot, but it will help you on the path of self-awareness. But I think another thing you could do is you can write down some situations that you've been having with people recently and try to identify any commonalities and things that they're saying about you. And then from there you go and say, all right, I mean, are any of these true, or are people just hating on me? They hating the player, not the game. You got to figure that out. And if they are hating the player, maybe it is true. So then you got to investigate that. Write those traits down. Find like a dark room where nobody can hear you and just scream. Just scream at the top of your lungs.
Are you why
do I have these traits? Why? No, just get out your system because you're going to be upset. And then once you get that out your system, say maybe that really is me.
People who can't find this dark room, do you suggest they do this in the street?
No, you find a field that's far from humankind of any sort.
Far from humanity.
Yeah. any living being, just get far because you just want to be able to really scream it out and just pound the ground and
pound the ground.
Yes. No, I'm saying this because it'll happen because you'll realize who you truly are, and it might disgust you to some degree.
Disgust you.
You might disgust yourself. So just get it all out there. Then it's all out, and you're like, that is who I am. And then you can come back.
Okay.
You come back to the civilization, and now you've realized these things are real. What people said were true. What people said was true, and you don't. And now you don't have to have
what they were saying in the streets.
Yeah, now you won't have any weird explosion because some people might explode in front of people, and that's not great. Just do that on your own time. That's all I'm saying. Figure out who you are, do your explosion, come back, and now you can be.
Are these people
radically
parents?
self-aware.
Do they have children to care after?
I mean, it's almost like going on that spiritual journey. You got to take time to yourself. Like you got to be able to do it, and this is what you do. You can go to a desert too. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It's just anywhere.
You can go to a desert.
Anywhere where you get some time alone, like just to be with yourself.
And did you do this when I was sleeping? Or?
Oh, I remember. I recommend things to do that I haven't done. Yeah, I'm big on that. I'm a big proponent of doing things that I haven't done.
So this is something you would never do, but you hope that others do.
That's fascinating. When you put it that way, I mean, it's not right.
And what are we talking about? Radical self-awareness. Okay.
Yeah, but the way that you put it just makes it just not seem right.
Sound completely foolish, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's messed up how you're putting it, but it's still something that I would recommend people do.
But you would never do it yourself. Okay. Yep.
It's a best practice, though. It's just something that I don't practice.
In theory, that other people should.
Yeah. I remember I live in theories, so that's the whole thing. So it's all about theories.
You're in meta? Is that what you're saying?
I am meta.
I am Matrix, so there you go.
No.
So I trump you.
Okay. I mean, well, we're not going to go down that because there's something that trumps all, but we'll just leave it. We'll stop there.
Jesus Christ?
Something trumps that, you know that.
Oh, I'm not even speaking
exactly.
On that one.
That's why you can keep going, go down a big rabbit hole, but instead we're gonna go down a scenario hole. Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. It is scenario time. Scenario 1. Mrs. Hegel believes in overpromising and underdelivering because she thinks hope is the only thing people can hold on to. She has noticed that many of her old friends have been harder to reach as the years go by. Do you think radical self-awareness would help Mrs. Hegel out?
Oh, wow. That's a really interesting scenario. So, over-promising and under-delivering. Jesus.
Just keep people happy, yeah. Just keep them happy. At least while they're in front of you.
I feel like this is like a Mrs. Doubtfire gone wrong scenario. like Mrs. Doubtfire
that's what happened with her, right?
Supposed to clean the home, and really everything blew up. And, but had a British accent at the end, so it was fabulous.
That was good, yeah.
So yeah, I do believe radical self-awareness would help her, because she, I think, is like kind of pondering, why are people not getting in touch with her, and why are people who are supposedly in her camp are no longer in her camp, and she hasn't come to that realization that she's been pissing off her tribe because they were trying to rely on her probably, or they're trying to believe that this is someone who could be relied upon, and in fact is not. And so that's going to cause people to no longer pick up that phone, no longer be a resource to you. And unless you have that self-actualization to say, you know what, I have not been the friend I should have been, I have not been the supportive person I could have been, then that's what people are going to do to you. So otherwise, she would be left just kind of like, oh, they suck. And it's like, or maybe you do.
Yeah, that's true. That would definitely help her out. I think it would be definitely beneficial to know what's the correlation between the actions that you take and what's happening in your life. So being radically self-aware would reveal to her the truth of this matter. Mm-hmm. So definitely look into that. You could follow my best practice or your best practice. They both will lead you to the same conclusion. Uh-huh. Scenario 2. Ernestine comes from a wealthy family that ensured he had everything he needed to be successful. He wants to prove to the world that all of his success is from his dedication and nothing more. He plans to move out of his home country and journey to South America, searching for a place where he can plant his roots. Do you think this is a good idea, or should he do some self-reflection before venturing out?
Oh, wow. Another really interesting scenario. So people should not be ashamed that they come from money. I mean, this is such a funny world to me, where I definitely have seen that rhetoric where it's like, no, I'm not. I'm more than my money. And it's like, it's okay to have money. It's also okay to be broke. It's okay to be in either camp, right? But the point is, we have to stop denying who we are, and also stop denying the privilege that attaches to both. Because there's privilege that attaches to poverty, and there's privilege that attaches to wealthiness and being a different tax bracket. And at the end of the day, you don't have anything to prove to anyone other than yourself. And if you fail to understand that, you're going to live an unsatisfying life of trying to, I got to show them. Well, guess what? No matter what you do, you'll sometimes never be able to be enough for someone. So you have to be enough, more than enough for yourself. And that's all that's going to matter in this world. And so, yes, he's welcome to move to South America and to kind of create his own legacy. However, I would think it'd be foolish not to take the money that he has to be able to live that new life in South America. I mean, I think there's some beautiful fruit and food to eat in South America. So definitely go there for the scenery and the culture and the fabulousness. But please take the money so that you're not living in squalor. And there's, an actual set up situation. And that also you're safe, right? Your safety matters, get security, all that good stuff.
Wow. Doing all this stuff.
And making sure that you're starting your business, but you're also taking care of your mind, body, and soul, and that bank account.
Wow. I mean, that's interesting. I would recommend that if he does decide to do it, definitely take none of the money, because then if he takes it, he's not proving anything. He's just proving that he's just using that privilege that he got from growing up.
Why is that a problem? Why do people feel like they can't use their money to build something? You can, just because you've been given $1 million, if you turn that $1 million into 110 million,
it's fine.
That's still not nothing, right?
I know, you're still doing something. Yeah, that's why, but then he should,
can he tout that he did that from nothing?
Yeah, see,
no,
he can't say that, though. He can't say, what do they call that? He can't say the self-made kind of thing, right?
Who cares? You're rich, and now you're gangster rich. What's the problem? People have got to get it together.
People hate that, or they come from a celebrity parent.
You know what? If they really can't stand it, I hope they give me all their money, because I'll find something to do with it.
I know, that's what's interesting.
This doesn't make sense to me.
But there are people that they want to
improve. It's like the poor want to be rich and the rich want to be poor. It doesn't. Human beings are impossible. It's
only specific to people who didn't earn their money. oftentimes want to prove that they can earn on their own.
My response to that is what Leslie Jones said recently, which is, who cares? Grow up.
Nice.
Like, this is ridiculous. Life is too short. Stop being foolish. Take the money you have. It's a blessing. It's a privilege. If you weren't meant to have it, you wouldn't have it, right? Poor people can tell you what the opposite looks like. Take the money and turn it into something else. And then also be philanthropic in nature, right? If you're so darn guilty about this money you have, split it. Half of it goes to you. Half of it goes into beautiful charitable endeavors. Move on.
I mean, I'd say people should do what they want to do. So if he wants to show that he can do it on his own, he can do it.
So go live in squalor. Okay.
Exactly. But you're saying that, but he could become a fisherman. Like, he could work with...
He could do whatever he wants, but it just seems shameful to go from luxury to living, like a pauper.
But it might only be temporary if he's who he says he is,
I know
right?
that there's certain luxuries in life that I enjoy.
You don't want to forego?
Yeah, I don't want to live a life where insects are crawling on my body. I don't want to live a life where I'm continuously hungry. I've been without light. I've been without heat.
He hasn't experienced any of that, so he wants that.
Yeah, I've been without food. I've been without money. I've been without security. I know what that is. I don't recommend that to anyone. So if there are a bunch of rich people out here really struggling to figure out what that looks like, go ahead and do it. But there should be some type of international exchange program then, and then let those poor people come and enjoy their riches. Then
I know that'd be a good idea,
because this doesn't make sense. Like I said, rich people want to be poor and poor people want to be rich. I mean,
but some people, they go on the journey and they realize, you know what?
Yeah, this was foolish. I don't want to be crawling. I don't want cockroaches crawling in my ear, because that's what I'm saying. Like, what people don't realize is there are some people who are living in this world where they're drinking water that has fecal matter in it.
Yeah,
right? Like,
they're drinking polluted water. It's not good.
Situations where people should
that's
not
happening
live
in
the
America.
way that exactly
with poison
and
tainted water.
This whole like, I want to be self-made. You know what you should do? You should make as much money as possible and help this world out and help the people who need it, because worrying about being self-made is not making this world a better place.
That's true. Scenario 3. Calais seems to always get help when she needs it. She is big on cosmetic surgeries and has had 20 procedures in the last 5 years. She feels that her personality is magnetic, and that is what draws people to her. Do you think her personality is that captivating, or is there something else about Calais that keeps people near?
So you were inspired by some of the TLC programming I'm watching. Shout out to Stacey and Darcy. Their new season. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, that's what that inspiration is. You think I'm foolish, huh?
You think it's for programming? Oh,
yeah, I think it's definitely for programming.
That's a good one.
Absolutely.
Oh man. I like that.
This is an interesting scenario. Do I think that? How do you pronounce her name again?
It's Calais.
So do I think Calais could actually have a magnetic personality? Absolutely. However, based on my experience watching various programming where people have had extensive cosmetic surgeries, I don't mean to laugh. This is the scenario my husband has created. I have found that people are also really fascinated by people walking around looking unreal. And so
it is unreal.
So I think that it's a little bit of both, in that she may have a wonderful personality that is bright and bubbly and wonderful, but people are also going to be drawn in by the excessive procedures, because I wonder what she actually looks like. Is where I'm in my mind.
That's what you're thinking about with the 20 procedures.
20
what did
procedures.
You do? Yeah.
That's
pretty
interesting.
Good, right?
As long as she's happy,
somebody's getting paid.
Bless her. And yes,
somebody got paid.
As long as she's being safe and doing what she needs to do to live a good life, absolutely. I don't judge it, but I do think people will stare.
For a magnetic personality.
For both.
Oh, so you think both.
Typically, magnetic personalities doesn't create a frenzy to take camera shots. But
you don't have a group of paparazzis.
Extensive surgeries do, typically.
Because if you have a group of paparazzis following,
I mean, there's a whole Facebook page around like, I forget the name of the page, but it's around, they go and they interview people who've done surgeries, all different types of surgeries, people who want to look reptilian in nature, people who have giant lips and the biggest woo-has and the biggest bam-bams and all sorts of different things.
And the whoop-de-woo?
And the whoop-de-woo for sure. Oh, God. This is truly captivating. I mean, there's like a page for this.
There's a page where you can find it. That's good.
And so I watch these videos, and I'm very shocked every time I watch the different types of surgery.
Does anybody try to look like Voldemort or anything?
Oh, wow.
Because you talk about reptilians, so it just made me think of like...
No, more so like the snakes. But not so much Voldemort. But I bet you there's someone in life who might be that inspired by that film series.
Yeah, so I would be that.
That's really fascinating.
Could I be a creature?
But, people are fascinated with having the largest derriere, having the biggest bam-bams. It's
Smart.
all sorts of different types of people who want to look like Barbie, people who want to look like Ken, people who want to look, like Hello Kitty. Like, there are people who want to look like all sorts of things. So
that's true.
Yeah, but that's what I think is causing the frenzy for the cameras.
But you still said both. You think both is keeping people...
I think it could be. Just because you have...
personality,
just because you've had extensive surgeries doesn't mean you aren't like a dope person. Like, you could be fantastic, but you also look unreal, so that's going to really drive people crazy. They're going to be like, whoa! Okay. So the external is what's going to draw people in, but it's the internal that keep people there, right? That's how I view life generally, surgery or not surgery. People are... Because, again, I can't look at you and see your personality. I can look at you anatomically and make a decision as to whether I'm attracted or interested in you, but it's the personality that keeps the person here. And in our case, it's the extensive laughing.
Isn't it the job of a detective to see your personality just by looking at you and your maybe actions from afar?
Are you asking me a serious question?
So I'm asking, if I'm sitting in my patrol car, I'm looking at you through...
Patrol car?
Yeah, I'm looking at you in the local deli. You telling me I can't figure out your personality if I watch you go through the store.
Is this a commentary on police brutality?
Wait, what? How did you get there? I'm in the patrol car doing surveillance, and I can't figure out your personality while watching you?
Given the amount of people that die at the hands of cops every single year, I would say that there's more work to be done on garnishing whether someone has a type of certain personality or is doing good things from looking at a patrol car.
But that's unfair to say, because there's good ones who actually know how to do detective work, and there's ones who don't.
So how can you detect personality without speaking to the person?
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that possible?
Are they mind readers?
No. Why do you have to read a mind?
How can you know a personality from looking at someone?
You can go by what they're purchasing in the store, right? If they pick up a bag of chips, you know that they watch TV. So if someone
walked into a sex store and bought 20 dildos...
Oh, you know.
What's their personality, Khalil?
You can tell that their personality is wild and free.
How do you know that? What if they were having a sex party and they were, charging those things, so they're trying to make them money? Like, maybe they bought them on wholesale.
Yeah, but they test them out before giving them to the...
All 20?
Yeah, they test them before giving them to the ongoers, so that's how you know.
I have nothing left to say.
but you got to go there as your detective. You got to, think beyond. They purchase it, what are they going to do with it?
I think people overestimate how much they can garnish from another person.
I mean, you could be completely off, too, right? Yeah, you could be way off. You don't know what it is. But I'm just saying, people try to gauge who somebody is by looking at them.
What's your answer?
My answer to this is that no one cares about her personality at all. They care about these 20 optional surgeries that you had done to yourself.
Now optional, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It definitely is optional, because, there are cosmetic surgeries that are kind of, I don't want to say required, but people do it just to get a look back.
Sustaining type.
Yeah, it's for quality of life, right?
Yes.
It's not for stuff where you didn't have to do it and you could have lived your life. Like, I'm talking about, these are surgeries that
BBL
did not have to happen.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, what do they call
breast augmentation.
Yeah, breast augmentation. Yeah, stuff like that.
Lipo
technically. Yeah, that's not stuff that you absolutely had to have no matter what. No, so if you did that, that's why people are drawn to you. You're not radically self-aware because you think your personality is all that, but it's not a bag of chips. That's what I'm saying.
That's a really hurtful estimation or a judgment, but okay.
But that's what I think. I think that you need to be more aware. You just said that
they're whack and that they've had optional surgeries.
Because it's kind of like they're trying to make up for their personality, is what I think, by doing all these things.
I think that's a super judgmental statement. I think that people have sometimes really do feel like some people have body dysmorphia, first and foremost. Some people don't know. They aren't
20 procedures in the last 5 years that you did not need. That's a lot.
And there also is something called addiction. This person could be addicted to plastic surgery.
Well, maybe it could be that.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know the scenario for this fictional character.
Again, though, we have to be good detectives and we have to make assumptions.
And neither of us have been trained in any academy for such behavior. So get it together.
And goodness gracious, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it would
you have
really
no business
funny.
learning. Yeah. And I definitely have no business
I would
learning
love to
that.
see, yeah, I would love to see you doing surveillance and telling what's going on in the situation. It'd be really
I have
funny.
other things to do with my time.
It'd be too funny.
But it would be like a really good content to create.
I don't know what you would say. Well, I know what you would say, right? It's possibilities. Anything's possible. Maybe they're being abducted by aliens right there, aren't they? Look, they disappeared from my view. Did the aliens get them? You know, that it could be something like that.
I'm not feeble-minded, Khalil.
Oh, maybe it was a ghost. The ghosts are abducting
That's
people
more likely to come out of your mouth than it is my mouth.
But I wouldn't say, I would have put that on my report. You would put that.
I mean, if it's a possibility. Then yeah.
Like, I lost track of them. I think somebody
But
took them.
I would have to own my accountability. I'd have to be accountable. And if I was not paying attention because I had to go use the restroom or I was eating my lunch, that's my business.
So you're supposed to eat your lunch and still watch, though. You'd have to eat lunch because it's long hours that you're just
that's what I'm saying.
there.
I'm not interested in this activity.
But you're getting paid, too. The big dolo. Big dolo.
Is it $10 million a minute? I mean, like...
I mean, now you're talking about... That's in a different stratosphere, right? We're talking about stuff that's in the bottom layer of
Even if it was $1 million a minute, that would be my bare minimum.
5 cents a minute?
5 million?
Wow, you don't go for 5 cents a minute. Okay.
5 cents a minute you would sit and watch me? That's talking about a livable wage. Oh my goodness gracious.
I know. I mean, well, hopefully you get tips, right, from the report. They're
Who's tipping you?
Your boss. Good work. Good work. It's $5 to go along with that salary that we don't.
I am not a teenager. I
No,
have
but you're
bills
new
to
at this.
pay,
You're
Khalil.
new at this, though, so they can't
I
pay
don't
you
care how
so
new
much.
I am. I have bills to pay.
Oh, really? So just because you're new, you should still be paid rightfully.
$1 million per.
This is
minute.
an easy gig. For you to get paid that much would be ludicrous. They can't pay you that much. It doesn't make sense.
That's hilarious coming from you and the types of scenarios where you've presented to me in our home about how much you want to be paid per minute to do something.
Yeah, it's never been so. You're like I said, you're not even on this planet.
There's a premium.
You may be out of the solar system with what you're asking for. Because I mean, for this is an easy gig. Like if I
find that to be very challenging intellectually and physically.
I mean, this could be a $30 an hour gig. This is not. It's so easy. You're not doing anything.
Take that?
And they got to pay for the food and the car. The car has to have air conditioning.
I guess we value our time quite differently.
All right, give me the cooled seats then with the car
for like $250 an hour.
No, I'll still take the cheap. Not the cheap. I'll take the
cheap
30,
seats.
I'll take the $30. I'll take the $30 wage because I'm getting cooled seats. The seats will blow.
That is not
cool
what you
air
would take. I don't know why you're lying on air.
No, to sit in the car. It's so easy though. I don't have to even get involved.
And how are you taking care of our child while you're getting that minimum that wage?
You can bring the family with you.
The family?
Yeah, everybody.
So you're enslaving me to this
nonsense? No, you're not enslaved. There's going to be we'll have a Wi-Fi hotspot and you'll be good. Everybody will be chilling.
I'm not joining
cool
this nonsense. And
it's really easy.
My child.
But it's a really good gig though. It's $30 an hour. And
you're
get
acting
paid
like this is a real job, Khalil.
I know it may pay more. You never know. You may get a bonus.
For their sake, I hope it does.
And you may get a bonus for actually
discovering the truth of the person's personality, right?
Yeah. See. You don't think it's worth it? Why? You think it has to be an extraordinary fee just to do this?
For me to participate in such endeavors, yes.
That's amazing. I mean, it could be a livable wage, but $30 might work depending on where you live.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And it's an easy job though. The food is paid for too. They pay for all the food.
I know that's super compelling to you.
I know you don't even care that it's paid for. So you can get anything you want.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh wow! All right.
I have bills to pay.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But we definitely will speak to that in another episode. And thank God we are at that time again. It's coming to the end of our 286th episode of WokeNFree. Quite the episode where we ask the question, "What is radical self-awareness all about?" Khalil, what should folks do now?
Come back next week for the new WokeNFree Wednesday episode. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on our show, we definitely are taking submissions. Best way to hit us up is on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That's WokenFree.com. Again, we'd love for you to follow along our conversations on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokenFree. And all sponsorship and collaboration queries, best way to hit us up, our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokenFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokenFree is more than a podcast, it is a way of life. Until next time.